and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthon, and I'm very excited to welcome to the show my friend Ryan Taft. You probably all know Ryan, but Ryan is now a founder of a new training company in new home sales, Impact 88. So congratulations on that, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We can't wait to hear all about your new venture. So for those listeners who may not know who you are, just tell us your life story. How
Oh
did
my
you
God.
get into home building industry? And we'll go from there.
Oh boy. I was born a small child, so there's that. No. So this is my 24th year in home building. I lucked my way into the industry, but I also think I was predestined to be in this industry. Let me give you what I mean by that. My father was an actor, my mother was an alcoholic, and my aunt was a realtor. So that makes sense why I'm a trainer in our space, right? So there you go. But I found out that my grandfather sold new homes. I didn't know that until 2 years ago, actually. Just found that out. My uncle was an architect, which I studied in college. My brother was a permits processor. So it's really in the family, if you will, along with the acting piece of it. And in 2000, I was looking to make a change, and my brother was a permits processor at KB Home. And he said, you should apply here. You probably would be a good salesperson. And so I'd been in sales before. I'd done telemarketing, network marketing, retail, lots of different things, and got hired. They actually hired me. I couldn't believe it. And so I was with KB through 2007. I actually wrote a book. Check this out. This is hysterical. You're going to love this. No, it's not that one.
Not that book.
That's not the
Okay.
first one.
All
That's the
right.
second solo one. Wait till I show you the picture of this.
All right.
Here's the first one.
Ooh.
I look
Okay.
like I'm 12.
You know, you look like Blake Lively's husband on that picture.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, you actually do. That's funny.
Yeah, I'll take that. I don't agree with it, but I'll take it. So I don't know. They're in hot water right now, so maybe that's not a good thing. But nonetheless, then after a series of years of doing my own thing, I got a call and was a part of the Shore consulting team for just shy of 12 years. And as of recently, as you mentioned, launched a brand new brand in our industry, which is Impact 88, which there is a story behind that. I don't know if you want to tell that now.
I'd love to hear the story because I was curious about the name.
A lot of people have been asking. I actually probably need to do a social post on this, but people are asking, like, what is Impact 88? I didn't have any plan really to go do my own thing. I know that sounds really weird coming from someone who just started his own thing. But I had been getting these little nudges, or what my friend Cassie Williamson says, God winks, if you will. And these were these little, you should be considering this, you should be considering. And I fought it. I got to be honest, Anya, I fought it for a year. And then finally, there was too many of them, too many. You need to consider doing something else. And I was trying to get out of it. You argue with God sometimes. You're like, I'm good. And so anyway, so I'm like, what would I call it? What would I call this? And I couldn't come up with a name. Couldn't. Because I didn't want my name to be in it. I didn't want it to be Ryan Consulting or any of that type of stuff. So I thought, all right, what would I call it? I got nothing. And so I took that as a cue that it's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen.
If you can come up with a name, forget it.
That's it. I'm like, all right, peace out, later. And you got to understand, it's because I was extremely comfortable. And that's actually a really key point to life, is that when you get extremely comfortable, that might be an indicator it's time to shift, right?
The golden handcuffs makes it very difficult to.
And look, Jeff Shore and that team was like family to me. I put out a video that was a tribute to them when I left, which most people don't do that, but it was a very difficult decision. But then I got prompted to ask a better question, right? You ask a better question, you tend to get a better answer. So the question wasn't, what do you want to call it? The question was, what do you want to do? And that got the ball rolling. So I thought, what do I want to do? And I thought, I want to do what I've always tried to do, which is impact people. But you can't call a company Impact People because that sounds dumb.
I like it. But okay.
Right. Welcome to Impact People. You are people. I will now impact. Yeah. So that didn't seem to flow well. So then I thought, well, what about people? I said, I want to impact their future. And I thought, well, you can't call it Impact Future because that's also stupid. So then I started thinking, what's really on brand for me? And if you look over my shoulder right now, you will see what is very on brand for me. I'm a movie person, and particularly my favorite movie, if you are a Gen Xer or got parents who are Gen Xers, you probably recognize the license plates from Back to the Future and the DeLorean, right? In fact, I'm such a nerd that my mouse pad is also the flux capacitor right there. In fact, we didn't even turn that on. We need to turn that on. So there it is. All right. It lights up. So I thought, okay, the DeLorean from the movie is goes to the future, right? Back to the Future. And then I thought, okay, what about that? And then it was clear. The DeLorean needs to go 88 miles an hour to go to the future. And I thought, got it. Impact 88. So the name literally translates to impact your future. That's the story. And once that happened, it was crazy for the next few months. Once I got that, I thought, okay, just throwing these little prayers out. I'm like, all right, Lord, you need to beat me over the head, kick me in the face to make this so obvious to me that I would go do this. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I will suggest to you that what happened was I started to get little signs, little confirmations. About a month after that happened, I'm getting off an elevator in Charleston, and the guy next to me has a bag, and on the bag is a patch that has an 88 on it. It's the DeLorean. It's actually the actual DeLorean speedometer. I open up Facebook back from that trip. I look at my phone. You should follow this racing page. I'm not into race cars. Why would this show up? That's weird. We went
Mhm.
on vacation. We're on the beach. Some guy comes up trying to sell us something. I'm not sure if it was an excursion or weed or what he was trying to sell us, but he had this shirt on that says 88 Special. I come back. I'm on my first training, and Melissa, my wife, calls me and says, "Where are you?" I look down and I'm passing 88 Ranch Marketplace. And I'm like, all righty then, in the words of Jim Carrey. And that was it. That was when it all was like finalized. Okay, I'm supposed to do this.
I love that. I didn't know that you're such a believer of the signs. Usually men are not the ones to admit to those things.
How do you ignore that?
I love that. I love that. I'm definitely a big believer too. So sometimes I will wonder, okay, is this something I should do? And I'll ask, give me a sign,
Yeah.
give me the sign. And it's
Oh yeah.
crazy how many times I will get a sign and it's, whoa.
I was on the phone with David Hagan yesterday, and he was like, "Brother, you were dangerously close to having a burning bush show up in front of you."
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you obviously have been in home building industry for a long time, and you've been with Jeff Shore Consulting for a long time.
Yeah.
And obviously, Jeff Shore is known as probably the guy in our industry, right? When it comes
Yep.
to new home sales training.
Yes, 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 yes.
So, what is going to be different about Impact 88? What kind of clients are you serving? What's going to be your niche that's going to be
Yeah.
different from what you've been doing all these years?
Some of that is still being written, but as it turns out, we're really looking to have an impact on the boutique size builder who is not the giant, because honestly I couldn't serve them. Jeff and I had this conversation. I said, Jeff, I'm not looking to be the next Jeff Shore. That's not my intention. Jim Rohn, the great philosopher, had this quote. He said, I want to have meaningful conversations with people that care. And that's really what I want to do. Is if there's a need and there's people who are coachable and want to learn and grow, then I'd love to talk to them. That's really what that is. But the beauty of what I'm doing here is that I can get to be a little bit selective from that perspective that says, like, I had a conversation with a potential client recently, and it was like, I don't think we're the right fit. I just don't think we're the right fit. And some of the bigger builders that have nationwide coverage and all that, you need a team of trainers to cover something like that. And that is not me. And it's not today, and I don't know if it will be. But yeah, I'm really interested in those builders who maybe are interested in a different approach too. Something that's different than what's been done. And that really, when you say what is different, the phrase that I'm using for that is people over process. I've been in this 24 years and I've seen all the training and all the things. And it amazes me how teams can be immersed in a training and after 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, be thinking, what do I do next? What's my next line? Where do I go from here? And here's my issue with that, Anya, is that the focus is on the wrong thing. It's on the process and not on the human being in front of you.
Mhm.
So I'll give you a good example of this. You get a salesperson who someone walks in and they don't even know how to start a convert. They're great weather out there today. And I'm like, we got to do better than that. Or they're getting down to business so quick and we might ask a good question, right? We might say, okay, you're here. Why? What
Mhm.
problem are you trying to solve? And the minute they say, well, I'm renting, the salesperson's like, how do I fix this problem? How do I sell them a house? But here's the reason I say people over process. If you and I are having a coffee together, I've known you for a few years, and you and I are having a coffee together. We catch up at the builder show or whatever. And I say, "What's been going on in your life?" And you say, "Oh, I think we need to move." I don't have to think, what is my process? What is my next question? What should I ask Anya? Let me get my script. I don't have
Great,
to
I can
do.
help you with that, right?
No, I'm not. And I'm not even trying to solve your problem, by the way.
Right.
I'm not. Because I'm more interested in what the problem is and how it even happened, let alone trying to give you solutions. I'm not going to ask you how many bedrooms are you looking for and all this stuff. I'm going to look at you and say, "Wait, moving? Why? What's up?" And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go after your story because instinctively as a friend, I A know there is a story, but B, I probably have enough curiosity to ask it. So I want to get out of the process and get into the people. And I think that's arguably part of the biggest problem in sales.
I agree with you. And actually, as I'm prepping for my presentation for IBS, a
Yeah.
little plug here.
All right.
So my topic is going to be all about selling to bots. So we're getting into this new world of agentic AI. Like actually just yesterday, OpenAI announced that they're releasing this new operator, right, which can independently perform tasks for you, including shopping for a new home. So you're essentially have to market and sell homes to a bot. It's no longer a human. So as a sales representative,
Mhm.
what's your value?
That's exactly it. Because this is what I tell people, if your questioning process is a process and it's
Mhm.
specifically around what do you want, what size home, bedroom count, time frame, if that's what you're doing, I already don't need you. I could put an iPad, forget AI, I could put an iPad on a little stand that asks those questions and then says, go to the second model and there'll be a bot to meet you there to tell you about all the included features. You don't need a salesperson. So yeah, you're right. What value are you bringing? And it's the emotion side of it. It has to be. It can no longer be information.
Yes, I think as we shift into this AI first world, the value is going to become very different. Kind of like what happened with real estate agents, as you mentioned, right? People no longer hire a real estate agent to really find a home for them necessarily, but they hire them for all the other things that they do once the home is under contract and all the other things, the problem solving. So it's almost like you become more of a counselor role
Yes.
rather than a salesperson, because let's face it, they don't really need you to find that new home right now. Maybe they still do, but for a limited time until the home builder can catch up to the technology. Because unfortunately, right now in our industry, you still are limited by how much you can find online, right? We're still not seeing builders provide all the information online. And so what's going to happen if you're not online, you're not providing all that information, the bot's not going to see you. So you're
That's right.
simply going to be missed.
Yeah.
So yes, what becomes your value as a sales representative is more of a sales counselor, somebody who is going to provide that emotional support, somebody who's going to go above and beyond, frankly. Looking at even like Ritz-Carlton experience, right? Like where they're anticipating the needs of a customer. They know you before you come in. They cater to your every need. An example, they delivered this soup to this lady's room because she mentioned that she loved this particular soup when she was
Right.
staying in one of their chains or whatever. And if you think about, that's just a hotel stay, right? That's just a hotel stay. And they're buying a home that's worth much more than one night's hotel. So you got to think like, how can you go above and beyond to provide that service that you're going to be irreplaceable? Because if your value proposition is going to be, oh, I can help you find that home and I'm checking those basic boxes, then I'm sorry, AI can do it much better and much faster than you can.
You're 100% spot on. Have you ever read the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
I was just going to say the example like of a restaurant, right?
Yeah, Will Guidara. If anyone listening, if you've not read that book, do it. That illustrates exactly what Anya's talking about here about changing the experience. This story reminds me a little bit of what happened back. This is probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. If you were to go to a movie theater like 15 years ago, the experience sucked. right? If you walked on the floor, it was like sticky. The seats were even. I'm 5'4". You met me in person. I weigh up buck 40. Even I was like, these seats are cramped, man. This is crazy. And the projection was terrible. And then home theater and streaming started to really become a thing. And the movie house industry started to lose major market share. And they did something very smart. They took a page out of Blockbuster's failure and they decided to have a summit amongst all of the movie house CEOs, right? The AMCs, the Harkins, the whatever, Cinemarks. So they all got together and they're like, what do we do to make sure we don't become the next Blockbuster and become irrelevant? They didn't change the product. The product stayed the same, but if anyone was paying attention, all of those movie houses changed at the same time.
Mhm.
And what do? They ripped out 20% of their seating, put in bigger, more comfortable chairs that kicked out. They put in buttons to order food. They started serving booze. You could pre-order your seat so you didn't have to stand in line so you wouldn't get that one seat in the corner where you got broken neck at the end of the movie. And I always illustrate this. And by the way, then they raised prices.
Mhm.
So what do we see? We see that the focus needs to be on changing the customer experience, not just the product. I think there's only so many things, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to architects. If you're on a 40-foot lot, there's only so many ways you can configure four walls and a roof to be so different. I'm 24 years in, and you could show me 10 different kitchens and say, who built these? I'm like, I don't know. So the differentiation has much more opportunity and upside in the customer experience than it does in the product, in my opinion.
I 100% agree with you. I'm so happy to hear this because as I was prepping, I was like, ooh, I hope this message is going to be received well. So
Uh-huh.
I'm glad to hear that you're on the
Oh,
same
we're
page.
singing from the same playbook here for sure.
Yes. So Ryan, you mentioned you're going after more of a smaller boutique builders. So talk to me about who would be your ideal client? What kind of
Shoot.
builder?
Oh my gosh. I think, where I'll give you an example without revealing names and identities here. I sat in our very first training, I conducted it, I was doing it um, just this last week. And in that training, for the first time in my entire career, the CEO sat in the training the whole day and participated. You know what that tells me? That guy cares. He cares. He's invested. Here's who I don't want to work with: the people who have a budget that just are spending their budget and their managers don't even want to sit in the training. They get up and they leave and they take calls and they're not invested because I know it's going to fail. And you know just as well as I do, Anya, that people don't say, we didn't do our part. What do they say? The training didn't work.
Mhm.
That's what they say. Boutique, not boutique, whatever it might be. I'm really looking for the folks who are looking to change their culture, change their customer experience. And there's such a big piece of the puzzle that's missing in training, in my opinion, and that is sales leaders knowing how to coach people.
Mhm.
And so we're addressing that. And so we've got our website hasn't even gone live yet. It's actually going live like in hopefully 24 hours from this call.
Ooh, so by the time this goes live, you
It'll be out.
guys can go check it out.
Yeah,
What's the
Impact 88,
website?
impact88.com, all spelled out, all spelled out. But yeah, so we're working with sales leaders to level up their coaching skills more than anybody else. And this is something that doesn't get offered to sales leaders. You get hired into management, and usually the way it goes is, hey, you sold a lot. Why don't you get other people to do that too? And
Right.
that's not a very good strategy for performance improvement because it's a skill to learn how to help someone level up their performance. There's a reason that football coaches in the NFL are paid a whole whack of cash. It's because they have that skill. And you don't get it just by getting a title. When I got hired into leadership at KB Home, there was nothing like that. There just wasn't. And so I actually went on my own. I spent $250,000 of my own money going to seminars and workshops and studying and mentorship. And I, I didn't even know companies would pay for it. I just out of my own pocket. They probably loved me. In fact, Marcia Dillon, who was my SVP, she was like, yeah, they tried to give me heat for you being gone at all these seminars. And she was like, you leave him alone. Let him go do his thing. Because I was paying for it and they were getting the benefit of it. So
I hope
that
you got a tax write-off,
I
Ryan.
didn't even think about it. I was too dumb and young, but I was excited and I was like, I want to learn this. And so I pursued performance coaching skills for my whole life. And I'm fascinated with behavior. I mentioned I had an alcoholic mom. She gave me the gift of curiosity. I was always curious, like why. When I was 6 years old, I just turned six. And for those of you that have read Story Getter, you heard this story in the book. When I was 6 years old, I found my mom on the bathroom floor having tried to commit suicide. And, that can wreck a person or it can grow a person. And I remember wondering, why would she do that? And not from a victim position, but really from a try to understand. And that has fueled my level of curiosity to try and figure out the motive and the reasoning. And so all the study and everything from performance coaching has helped me. And so I thank my mom actually in a weird kind of way because she gave me a gift of curiosity that led me to want to understand performance improvement and motive and how do you motivate somebody for them and not for you and coaching skills. And so it's been a blast. It's been a quick 24 years, I can tell you that.
It sure sounds like it. Thanks for sharing that story. I know it's not easy to say something like that. So I think not many people would admit to something like that.
Oh, you should. For anyone who's read the book, I talk about going through cancer. I had cancer back in '09. Like it's very vulnerable. The whole book is, it's not just a textbooky, salesy type. Most of the books are out there. Here's step one and two. This is my point, is get out of the process and get into the people. That's the key. And I think like we've gotten too far on what's our sales process and not enough on how do I connect with the human being. I got asked recently, and I get asked this every once in a while. I was on a plane and someone said, "What do you do for a living?" And I could say sales trainer. I could now say founder of a company, whatever. Nobody cares. But my response actually is a little different. Here's what I tell people. I help salespeople get back to being human beings in the sales process.
Love that.
And that's what people want. And if you doubt it, think about the last time you went into a sales office. I was, my wife and my mother-in-law and I were sitting out front of a sales office. My wife informed me that we are now looking for a home. Oh,
Congratulations.
I didn't know, but okay, here we go. We pull into the parking lot, and my 80-year-old mother-in-law, she's so cute. Her name's Priscilla. She leans forward between our seats in the front seat. I'm driving, Melissa's in the passenger seat, and she goes, "Okay, what's our story?" Our stories, don't be a weirdo. Let's go. But
I
people
love
are
it.
afraid to talk to salespeople because salespeople are too focused on process and they're not enough about the people. And that's the gap I want to fill.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is the more we become a digital society, the more studies that show that consumers specifically are actually feeling dissatisfaction. They evaluated like all the digital channels that you can have. So as a builder, you have your website, you have social media, like chat bots, like all the different ways that consumers can engage with you.
Yeah.
And consumers were feeling less satisfied with that over time. The only channel that they felt more satisfied was phone call, which was shocking to me because I'm like, phone call. And the reason why is because that consumer journey, when it comes to digital space, is so discombobulated and so disconnected. And it's also very impersonal. It's becoming very impersonal.
Super.
So
Yeah.
there's a trade-off between what consumers are willing to give. We want personalization on the website. We want to be able to customize the home. What are you giving up for that? So it's
Yeah.
this balance. So you're so right. I'm so glad that you were really focusing on the relationship aspect back into it, because again, as we continue deeper and deeper into this digital journey, AI first,
Hmm.
selling to the machines,
Yep.
what's going to make you irreplaceable in a workplace is really going to be what value are you bringing? How do you make your customers feel like? And as a consumer yourself, you can ask those questions, right? As you have interactions with lots of different brands on a daily basis, like how do these brands make you feel? And if there's a particular brand that makes you feel valued, like why is that? What are they doing? And how can you take that into your life?
That's
So
why I like the Will Guidara book on unreasonable hospitality, because they're not just serving food, they're paying attention. They're going above and beyond and hearing the people. And that's, if you read the book, and it's the classic How to Win Friends and Influence People. In that book, Dale Carnegie says that the need for attention and connection from other humans is such a high need in the human experience that in absence of that attention and connection, A person will literally go insane, create an alternate personality, talk to themselves to give themselves that attention. And you can think of homeless people in solitary confinement or salespeople driving on the way to their office in the morning. I'm sure no one listening talks to themselves, right? But here's my point, which backs up everything you're saying, is that I ask audiences all the time, are we getting more connected or less connected? And obviously the answer is less connected. Is techno just walk through an airport and just watch people.
Right.
Everyone is just glued to their phone and it's like nothing else exists.
Yeah, with social media, you think people say, "Oh, we're being more sociable on social media," but reality is you're not
No,
actually engaging with other people. You're
no.
just scrolling through.
Yeah.
You're scrolling. That's all you're doing.
That's it. It's so bizarre. And by the way, there's a difference in, I found there's an age break in how people scroll. The younger folks thumb scroll, the older folks single finger scroll. So there you go. Just for the audience, check yourself. But
Okay, I'm millennial, so I do the finger.
that's funny. I think this is a competitive advantage, especially going forward from this year forward. If your team does not know how to connect with people, right? Like you got folks who are just really like hard driving go. That's great. And you might be looking at your sales report saying we're crushing it. But I'm not interested in sales reports. And I know that's absolutely insane to say as a sales trainer. What I'm interested in is how good are you at the people part of it? Because if you build the people, build the church, right? And the same thing's true here. If you build the people, build the business plan. And to me, if it's true that it's that high of a human need, and we're getting more disconnected as time goes on, then the sales team or the person who knows how to connect and knows how to put that attention on and knows how to be curious and how to be empathetic and how to be, frankly, a human being and give people that thing they need becomes the most important person in that person's world. And it doesn't matter if they're a salesperson, a checkout clerk at a grocery store, a server. It's about attention and connection. And here's the problem. Nobody cares. Everybody's just trying to move on. How do I move on? Let's go. Oh, you looked at a home online? That means you're a buyer. Let's go look at a home. And I'm like, whoa, slow down, bro. You got to figure out who's in front of you and create relationship. And so lots of opportunity here. Lots.
Yeah, it's like that saying that people will forget what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel,
Made them
right? So
feel. Yeah.
that's
And
amazing
that's
what
whether
you
you made them feel good or bad, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Are you
And how many
transactional or are you transformational? Which way are you going here?
Yeah, if you think about like even car sales back in the past, it was very transactional. It was just like you come, you buy a car, but now they're making car purchase more of an ongoing relationship because now, oh, maybe we want to service your car. You come back in, you become customer for life. So it's obviously with automotive sales in general, we can learn a lot from them as an industry. So
Sure.
just check out which direction they're moving to.
I
Um,
literally got an email yesterday from my car dealership on service. So thank you for reminding me about that.
There you go. So, and so Ryan, do you see any particular holes or opportunities? I can imagine that whether it's a big builder or a small builder, people training how you bring value as opposed to the process, as you say, is going to be probably
Yeah.
applicable to no matter what size builder you are.
Yes.
But are there any gaps that you specifically notice with the smaller type builder? Because I'm sure they have a different set of challenges than maybe some bigger organizations that have a lot more resources.
What's really interesting about it is the advantage of the smaller ones is they have an opportunity to really hone in and nail their culture. That's actually a bonus for them. The bigger the company gets, the more struggle a company has to control that or maintain that. But I am gonna talk skill for a quick second to answer this question because most of those companies that are on that boutique side, they really have never invested in training. They do it from afar, right? They get a book from somebody or they'll watch some YouTube videos or whatever the case is. And then if they try to engage training, it's usually so astronomically priced that they couldn't afford it if they tried. So maybe they'll go to a little seminar or whatever, but training is more immersive than that because it's not about an event, right? Most people when they go to training, it's like they go the day before to get a penicillin shot because they know they're going to have to get rid of it or try and get it off them when they're done with training. Because training is often really, I hate to say this, training often is about the trainer, right? Like that happens all the time in our space in training in general is what I mean, not in home building. But if you can find a way to immerse yourself in a training process that measures the performance improvement. That's why the tagline on the company, Impact 88, is a performance improvement company, not a training company, a performance improvement company, which means we're measuring, did we get better? A lot of training won't measure, did they actually get better? Because they don't want the answer. They just want to sign up the next contract and keep going. I'm too far in my career to do that. I'm not interested in just going out to train people just to check the box. I'd rather stay home with my dogs. My wife would rather me stay home too, right? So there's that. But when we're looking at gaps, there's two major gaps. And this is I don't think this is big company, small company, but I'll just throw it out there. In the last 12 years of walking in and out of model homes across North America, 12 years, I'm just going to let that sink in with the audience. I have been asked for the sale exactly 0 times.
That's
Zero. It's arguably the biggest opportunity that exists. And so I'm honing in on that in every training that I do, almost every conversation. In fact, I'll give you an example. Do you know Charlie Penovich? Does that name ring a bell to you?
kind of no, remind me what he's done. Maybe.
He's a salesperson with Taylor Morrison, but he's a good dude and he'll be out there. He won Sales Leader of the Year, Salesperson of the Year, whatever it might be. And so I did a training with his former company and he was in the audience. He came up to me and he said, "Hey," he goes, "I'm really good at connecting with the people part, but I'm like 5 weeks without a sale and I'm just really struggling and I just want to know what you think." And I said, "Cool. So you're good at connecting to the people and you're getting their stories and all that." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Great. How are you asking for the sale?" And he hemmed and hawed, and I said, "I can tell you, you're probably not asking for the sale." Because what happens, Anya, is we get so into that relationship part that we think that, oh, if I ask, I'm going to be pushy. And I just have a very different mindset on that says if you don't ask them for the sale, you're sending them home to stay in their problem.
Mhm.
That doesn't seem very service oriented. So I just made an agreement. I said, "You do this. You text me every day. Every day you text me. How many prospects did you connect with? How many of them did you ask for the sale?"
Mhm.
And for the first 30 days, it was like, I talked to 3 people and I didn't really get a chance and da, da, da. And I'm like, ask for the sale, ask for the sale. This has been going on for a year and 2 months now with Charlie.
Uh-huh.
And he went from 5 weeks without a sale, getting questioned, "What's going on, dude?" to winning Salesperson of the Year.
Amazing.
And my most recent this is actually really funny. So at 10:01 this morning, 10:01 this morning, Charlie, one prospect asked for the sale. She wants to buy, but doesn't come close to qualifying. No prospects yesterday. So he's still texting me every single day, and I'm responding to him.
Love that.
I believe that what you focus on gets magnified, and that's one of the biggest opportunities. That's number one. Here's the other one.
Can I interject here real
Yeah,
quick?
please do.
Because recently I saw, I forgot who was talking about this, but it resonated with me so well. And they said a lot of people feel yucky about being a salesperson or about sales
Yeah,
because we concentrate on what it can do for us.
that's right.
It can get me money, it can make me blah, 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 versus
Right.
what it can do for your prospects. So I think
Right.
in that framework, if you can apply that to ask for sale, not because like I want to sell a house, but because I want to solve a problem for this person. And if I don't ask, then I'm not going to solve this problem.
That's 100% correct. Number one, the core issue of that is they don't find out the problem. If I don't know your problem, me asking for the sale by default is for me because I don't know the problem I'm actually asking to solve. That's if you walk into a doctor's office and they skip the diagnosis part and they say, "All right, let me tell you what drugs we have."
That could
Well,
be a
you're
fun doctor.
hey, easy, right? That is the difference, by the way, between a drug pusher and a medical professional. One
Right.
doesn't care about your problem, they just want to sell their product. The other one is interested in matching the product to the problem, and they're slower in their diagnosis. When I got diagnosed with cancer, I went through blood work, chest x-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, and an MRI. So when he told me, Dr. James Dage in Scottsdale, when he told me, "Here's what we're dealing with," more importantly, here's what he did. He closed me. Here's how he closed me. He said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "No, I think we're pretty clear." Melissa was with me. It was right before we got married. And he says, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. I've scheduled you for a surgery in 8 days from today. So December 17th, 2009 at 6 a.m. Banner Health. Don't be late." He actually didn't ask me if I wanted the surgery. He just told me, "Here's how we're solving this problem." You know what I didn't say to him? Whoa, easy, commission breath. Calm it down. You're being a little pushy here. You know what I said? I said, wow, you can get me in that soon. Thank you. You're right. If you look at it from the perspective of I am solving your problem, but you better be good enough at getting the problem, right? The Here's the framework that or the mindset really that I think of when it comes to that is knowing that this is your problem and knowing that me asking you to purchase is the solution to that problem. Here's the way I frame the close. Do you want to hire me and my team at XYZ home building company to help you solve that problem? If the answer is yes, let's go. We're all in. If the answer is no, that's okay too. I don't get offended. And that's the other reason people don't do this. I don't get offended if you say no to me.
Mhm.
And the reason is if you get offended because someone didn't buy your home, they didn't buy your service, then the process was all about you the whole time. And you were asking questions that had no juice behind them. It had no meaning. People's authenticity radar, their BS radar is so attuned. People can tell when you're asking because it was a training or when you actually care.
I love that. It's so true. People can smell it from a mile away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here's the commission breath, mint. I got to go. Right. Yeah.
Yes. Ryan, I feel like we got like a mini training session here today. So thank you for delivering so much value to us already. So Ryan, if somebody wants to learn more about Impact 88, now that you're going to have your website up, so again,
Website's
tell
up.
everybody where to find you.
Yep. The website is impact88.com, all spelled out. You can shoot me or Lindsay Ayala an email. So that's Ryan at impact88.com, all spelled out, or Lindsay at impact88.com. So also I'm on social media and all the things. They can feel free to reach out any one of those ways. But we're talking to a lot of people right now and we're just having a blast. We'll be at the Builder Show and we're going to be meeting and greeting. I'm going to come see you for sure and the whole team at Inugo. So very excited to reconnect with all the friends there. So I appreciate you having me on today. It was awesome. This was fun.
Thank you so much for being on. I knew we were going to have a good conversation. You always deliver, and I'm not surprised that you had some acting in your blood because it totally makes sense. You just have such a natural presence on stage, and I'm sure in your training seminars. So you guys make sure you reach out to Ryan. And again, if you want to stay relevant, like this is going to be the thing going forward, right? Because AI is here. And again, I don't want to say it's going to take your job, but it's definitely going to take a lot of jobs.
It'll take your job if you don't level up. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's just the reality of it, right? Like we can sugarcoat it and make people feel better, but at the end of the day, like there's going to be companies looking to cut costs, and if you're not bringing that value, if not delivering the value, if you're no better than AI, then what is your value? So with that, we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for being on, and I will see you at the International Builder Show.
See you there. Thanks, everyone.